for $12 billion. Okay, stop. This isn't another video about fighter pay, unions, revenue splits, or how bald Dana White is. Maybe not that one, but it's not about how boxers get paid more either. None of that. This is about you and me, the fans, and why the UFC experience is getting worse when there's absolutely no reason for it. We all love the UFC, but I am going to break down a few key things that could improve and make the UFC feel great again. So if there's a problem with something, that means there was a time when there wasn't a problem, right? What changed? Was it the fights? Nope. In fact, most people would argue the fights are more competitive and better than ever. Sure, some fighters are more calculated now. Some play it safer. But that's fine. The fights aren't the problem. So, what is? Maybe it's the promotion of the fights. Islam versus Ilya is supposed to happen on the International Fight Week, just over a month from now. And yet, the only thing we're seeing is Chael Sonnen talking in circles, saying one thing in one video, then the complete opposite in the next. Meanwhile, Dana White is out here promoting Canelo versus Crawford, a boxing super fight set for September 12th. This fight will sell itself, but that's the problem. As fans, we want more, because at the end of the day, the UFC isn't just about the fight. Sure, the fight is the most important part, but it's also about everything around it. The build-up, the background story, the viral moments, the bad blood. That's why we're hyped for Ilya versus Islam or Jones versus Aspinall, and not nearly as excited for Bilal versus JDM, even if the fight might be great. Instead, this fight will likely get an embedded episode the week of, where Islam talks.
Brother, if you want your son high-level wrestling, send him 2-3 years Dagestan and forget.
And Ilya tries to trash talk him.
Please, loudly, shut up, man.
And it's not just this one. This is the UFC's entire promotional strategy now. Announce the fight on a random Tuesday, post a graphic, drop a mid-level promo 48 hours before the event. Hope the loyal fans tune in like they always do. No build-up, no storylines, no real effort. It feels lazy, because it is lazy. Remember when Aldo versus Conor was booked? We got a full-on press tour from Dublin to Rio to Vegas, multiple face-offs. It felt like a global event, like history was being made. Now, for a card as stacked as UFC 314, we got one press conference. A month before the event. That's it. No build-up, no tour, no energy, just one stage media day and move on. Every week feels like just another Apex card, another 1 a.m. main event, another vodka energy drink Draft Kings or Popeyes ad for the 200th time.
All right, guys, here we are. We're at the Popeyes.
But this was the only ad they ever needed.
Derek, what's your issue with Daniel? I want to know too.
He disrespected that Popeye's chicken on a commercial a few years ago.
But we still show up because we want it to be good. But the UFC knows that. They know the fan base is loyal, and they're using that as an excuse to do less. Same with fighter pay. They don't have to pay more. They don't have to promote more because they know we'll keep watching either way. Debating rankings that barely mean anything because deep down, we love this sport. We complain because we care. And before someone comments, then go watch something else if you don't like it. No, we want to watch the UFC just the way it should be. Why don't we complain about Taylor Swift? Because we don't give a single fuck. And despite all the laziness in the promo, the Apex fatigue, and the recycled press conferences with stupid questions like, what does this fight mean to you? The fighters are still elite. There's more talent in the UFC right now than at almost any other point in history. That's why we're not giving up. The UFC needs to understand something. This fan base knows when the UFC is trying to force something fake. Take Bo Nickel, for example. At UFC 300, they put him on the main card against Cody Brundage. Like, what the fuck? No one cared about that fight. Meanwhile, Prohaska versus Rakic was sitting on the prelims. It was obvious that they were trying to manufacture hype, and it backfired. Bo Nickel now lost, and the entire MMA fan base turned on him. Not because they hate him, but because they never asked for the push in the first place. Let's compare Bo with someone who is another rising star like Orobai. He lost too, but fans didn't bully him, because he didn't come in with a UFC-sponsored spotlight. He came in raw, and fans appreciated that. That's the point. Let the audience decide who becomes